Hey everyone, welcome back. We've got our next scene here in Romeo and Juliet, or our next selection, I should say. This is going to be the end of Act 1, Scene 1. So that is in your book, it's from line 159 on page 10 through to, let's see, about the end of page 13. Okay. One thing that you may have noticed as you've been going through these is the line numbers are slightly different in what you see on the screen versus what you see in the textbook. So whenever we're writing about the play, we want to use the numbers that are in our actual book. But for the sake of these videos where we're watching, we're listening, we're hearing the story, we're learning, they're close enough that it works. But if I'm talking and I refer to line numbers, they're probably going to be from the textbook, just FYI. All right. So here we go. This video will be a little shorter because it's just going to be the end of Act 1, Scene 1. And then I'm going to make a separate video today for Act 1, Scene 2. So here we go. Let's listen in. Romeo has just entered the stage. As you can see in the middle, it says enter Romeo. And Benvolio is talking to his uncle, Lord Montague, and he says that he's going to go and try and find out why Romeo is so sad. So that's where we left off. That's where we're picking it back up today. Focus in. Here we go.
Excellent Montague and lady. Enter Romeo.
Good morrow, cousin.
Is the day so young?
But new struck 9.
Ay me, sad hours seem long. Was that my father that went hence so fast?
It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours?
Not having that which, having, makes them short.
In love?
Out.
Of love?
Out of her favour, where I am in love.
Alas, that love so gentle in his view should be so tyrannous and rough in proof.
All right. So first of all, we know we learned two things really quickly there. Number one, we learned the time. Is the day so young? But new struck 9. So at this point, it's 9 a.m. Okay. And Benvolio asks, what sadness lengthens Romeo's hours? Not having that which having makes them short. In love, out of love. And Romeo says, out of her favor, where I am in love. So he's in love, but he mentions that he's out of her favor. Okay. So basically he likes this girl, but she doesn't like him back. Okay. Out of her favor, where I am in love. Okay. And Benvolio sympathizes with him. And right here he says, alas, love, it seems so gentle in his view. Love looks so gentle, but in reality, in proof, love is tyrannous and rough. And that kind of sends Romeo off a little bit. In this next section, Romeo goes through this long list of oxymorons, where an oxymoron, of course, is where you have two words that are seemingly opposites together in order to make some new meaning. And he's using those oxymorons in order to point out this idea Benvolio brings up of love seeming gentle, but actually being harsh. So here goes.
Alas, that love, whose view is muffled still, should without eyes see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I've heard it all. Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, oh brawling love, oh loving hate? Oh anything of nothing first create? Oh heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep. That is not what it is. This love feel I, that feel no love in this. Dost thou not laugh?
No, cuz I rather weep.
Good heart at what?
At thy good heart's oppression.
All right, they jump to the next page, but in that previous set of lines, I like to point out line 179, where he says, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health. Okay, these are all oxymorons, and he's using them and saying all of these things are like love, where they seem lovely, but in reality are harsh or bad or difficult or whatever. And then Romeo asks, Dost thou not laugh? Are you laughing at me? And his cousin Benvolio says, no, cuz I rather weep. Well, good heart at what? At thy good heart's oppression. So he says, Romeo, I'm not laughing at you. I'm sad because you're sad. And as Romeo is about to say here, this love that thou hast shown doth add more grief to too much of mine own. He's saying, well, Benvolio, I am now even sadder because you are sad, right? You're making it worse, right? So Benvolio has figured out why Romeo is sad, but he's not done anything yet that helps Romeo actually feel better. He has some ideas, but he's not sharing them just yet. Let's continue. No, cause I rather weep, good heart at what? At thy good heart's oppression. Here we go.
Why, such is love's transgression. Griefs of mine own lie heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed with more of thine. This love that thou hast shown doth add more grief to too much of mine own. Love is a smoke raised with the fume of sighs, being purged, a fire sparkling in lovers' eyes, being vexed, a sea nourished with lovers' tears. What is it else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall and a preserving sweet. Farewell, my coz.
Going.
Soft, I will go along. And if you leave me so, you do me wrong.
Tut, I've lost myself. I'm not here. This is not Romeo. He's some other where.
Tell me in sadness, who is that you love?
What? Shall I groan and tell thee?
Groan? Why no, but sadly tell me who.
Bid a sick man in sadness make his will. Ah, word ill urged to one that is so ill. In sadness, cousin, I do love a woman.
I aimed so near when I supposed you loved.
All right, so I want to clarify this real quick. Benvolio asks, who do you love? Okay, and this is where we have to look at gender expectations in Shakespeare's day. If the audience is buying a ticket to a play and there's a man's name as the title, they're going to expect that this character is a hero, right? They're going to expect that maybe he's physically strong, maybe emotionally closed off, but emotions don't matter to him. Maybe he's a king or a war hero or something like that. And then we open this play, Romeo and Juliet. Romeo is the first word in the title, and he's a teenager. He is spending the first part of the play crying, okay, sad emo boy. And he's doing all of this whining about love. Now, the audience watching would think of those characteristics as being really feminine. And so it's a little chuckle here when Benvolio asks, who do you love? And Romeo says, in sadness, cousin, I do love a woman, right? That would have been important clarification to the audience after watching how Romeo acts during the beginning of this play. And Benvolio says, I thought so. I aimed so near when I supposed you loved. But it's not just loving a woman that has made Romeo sad. And it's not just the fact that she doesn't love him back, but there's more to it. It's a little bit of a rough look for our dude Romeo, but we're going to be hearing about it here in his next speech. So let's get there.
A right good markman, and she's fair, I love.
A right fair mark, fair cuz, is soonest hit.
Well, in that hit you miss. She'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. She hath Dian's wit, and in strong proof of chastity well armed. From love's weak childish bow she lives unharmed. She will not stay the siege of loving terms, nor bide the encounter of assailing eyes, nor ope her lap to saints seducing gold. Oh, she's rich in beauty, only poor that when she dies, with beauty dies her stall.
Then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste?
She hath, and in that sparing makes huge waste.
Okay, so when we look back at that speech, Romeo says, she'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. You probably know Cupid. He's that little cherub, the little, we think of him around Valentine's Day, the baby with the bow and arrow who, you get shot with Cupid's arrow and it makes you fall in love, okay? And Romeo says she will not be hit with Cupid's arrow. Okay. So she's not going to let herself fall in love, but there's even more to it than that. He says she has Diane's wit. And we don't know who Diane is today, probably. So we look in the footnotes here for line 208, and it says Diane is Diana, a virgin goddess. Okay. That word chastity that comes up, and as you can see on the screen here, she hath sworn that she will still live chaste. Okay. Chastity is another word for virginity. Okay. And so she's sworn that she will live chaste. That means she's sworn that she's going to abstain from sex. And Romeo says in this speech, line 211, she will not stay the siege of loving terms. Okay. So she will not flirt with you. You can't talk to her to convince her, anything like that. And he says, to line 214, she is rich in beauty, only poor that when she dies, with beauty dies her store. So she's rich in beauty, but in a way, she's poor because if she continues to live chaste, then she won't have any children. And so then in this line you see at the top here, when she dies, her beauty dies with her because she will not have passed it on to any children. Okay. So Benvolio asks, she's sworn to virginity, she's sworn to live chaste. And Romeo says, yes. And what a waste, he says. Not an awesome look for our dude Romeo, but that is another part of why he's so sad in this moment. Okay. So let's continue through the rest of Romeo's speech. And yes, we'll read the rest of this scene and then we'll wrap this up. Here we go.
For beauty, starved with her severity, cuts beauty off from all posterity. She's too fair, too wise, wisely too fair, to merit bliss by making me despair. She hath forsworn to love, and in that vow do I live dead that live to tell it now.
Be ruled by me. Forget to think of her.
Oh, teach me how I should forget to think.
By giving liberty unto thine eyes, examine other beauties.
'Tis the way to call hers exquisite in question more. These happy masks that kiss fair ladies' brows, being black, puts us in mind they hide the fair. He that is strucken blind cannot forget the precious treasure of his eyesight lost. Show me a mistress that is passing fair. What doth her beauty serve but as a note where I may read who passed that passing fair? Farewell. Thou canst not teach me to forget.
I'll pay that doctrine, or else die in debt.
All right, then they exit. That is the end of Act 1, Scene 1. So let's talk about a couple things there in that last little bit. Benvolio says, forget to think of her, and Romeo is dramatic. Oh, teach me how I should forget to think. And Benvolio gives Romeo the advice, by giving liberty unto thine eyes, examine other beauties. Forget about this girl that you're thinking of by setting your eyes free and looking at other girls. And Romeo, of course, this last speech here, he's very dramatic. He that is strucken blind cannot forget the precious treasure of his eyesight lost. You cannot teach me to forget, okay? But that's what Benvolio says to do. He says, forget about her, examine other beauties. And then at the end, he says, I'll pay that doctrine or else die in debt. Meaning, I'm going to convince you or die trying. So Benvolio really cares about his cousin, his good friend Romeo. He really wants to help as best he can so that Romeo won't be so sad, so that Romeo will be back to being himself again. And he has an idea here, examine other beauties. As we read Scene 2, you'll see that Romeo is about to have the opportunity to do that. But first, we meet with Lord Capulet, Paris, and Peter, and that'll be in our next clip. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.